Sheriff Grady Judd from Polk County, Florida, a public servant and a social media content creator, forced a 13-year-old girl to write an apology letter to her stepfather who was S.A.ing her. And I just came across this story from back in 2016. It is relevant now, and I'm going to get back to that. But first, a little bit of backstory. A 13-year-old girl in Polk County, Florida, reported that her adoptive father, whom she referred to as her stepfather, named Henry Cadle, had been abusing her for years. And instead of protecting this young girl, because why would a 13-year-old lie about this? Judd and investigators determined that she was lying. She was charged with making false statements, put on probation, forced to write an apology letter to the very man she had reported for abusing her, which I can't get over. An apology letter to her abuser. I'm going to insert the letter. And she was also required to apologize to the sheriff's office. Then she was sent back into Henry Cadle's custody. And less than a month later, the abuse continued. And this time, she secretly recorded evidence herself. And that evidence led to Henry Cadle's arrest. And I want to say he was later sentenced and convicted to 17 years in prison. Her guilty plea was withdrawn. The charges against her were dismissed. And prosecutors ultimately determined she had been telling the truth all along. So let's be clear, right? A child reported abuse, didn't believe her, was punished for speaking up, was forced to apologize, and then had to gather her own evidence to prove what was happening to her. And here's why I'm sharing this story now, because what I don't understand is how this story became national news last fall, and yet Sheriff Grady Judd remains one of the most celebrated law enforcement figures on social media, and he was reelected shortly after the story had become widely known. People share his press conferences, his jokes, his viral arrests, but where were all of these people when a child was forced to apologize to her rapist per his demand? Because if we're going to keep hearing politicians and public figures talk about protecting children, then protecting children has to mean believing them when they come forward, and taking allegations seriously and holding systems accountable when they fail. A child should never, ever have to collect her own evidence to prove that she's being abused and deserves protection. And someone who would do something as cruel as forcing an assault victim to apologize to her abuser does not deserve a platform. And the victim, this past fall, filed a lawsuit against Sheriff Grady Judd and another investigator in fall of 2025. And as of now, I haven't been able to find a final resolution, but after being forced to apologize to her abuser and then proving she was telling the truth all along, I sincerely hope she sues the absolute hell out of everybody responsible, and I will be trying to keep an eye out for a final verdict.